Have you ever walked into a room and felt the weight of a dozen invisible verdicts? The way someone scans you for half a second, your posture, your clothes, the tone of your voice, and in that blink they already formed an opinion. That instantaneous judgment is not magic. It's psychology. Today, we'll explore why people judge you instantly, what the mind is doing in those first 2 seconds, and, most importantly, how you can use that knowledge to be seen more clearly, fairly, and advantageously. When you meet someone new, the brain performs an emergency assessment, not to be rude, but to survive. Evolution wired us to make fast decisions about friend or foe, safe or risky, valuable ally or time waster. Modern psychologists call this ability thin slicing, the capacity to extract surprisingly accurate conclusions from very little information. In the first 2 to 5 seconds, the brain harvests visual and auditory cues and runs them through a lifetime of associations, culture, personal experience, stereotypes, and immediate context. That split-second judgment often feels unfair because it's unconscious. But it has structure. It is made of predictable cognitive shortcuts, mental heuristics that conserve time and attention. If we understand those shortcuts, we stop being their victims. Let's walk through the main mechanisms that form first impressions. The primacy effect. People overweight the earliest information they receive. The first thing you do or say creates a filter. Later facts are interpreted through that lens. A friendly greeting early on makes people more forgiving of awkward moments later. A poor opening creates a bias that is hard to undo. 2. The halo effect. If one attribute is perceived as positive, other qualities are inferred as positive as well. Attractive people are judged as more competent. A warm handshake can translate into perceived intelligence. This is why a single strong cue, confident eye contact, a tidy outfit, causes a cascade of positive judgments. Rapid cognition. As mentioned, we detect patterns quickly: posture, facial micro-expressions, and voice pitch. These rapid reads can be surprisingly accurate in areas like job performance or trustworthiness, but also dangerously prone to cultural or personal bias. Stereotyping and social categories. Our brains are pattern machines. They sort people into categories, each: gender, profession, class, and then apply associated expectations. Stereotyping simplifies social life but also perpetuates error. 5. Confirmation bias. Once someone forms an early impression, they notice behavior that confirms it and dismiss what contradicts it. This keeps first impressions stable, even when they're wrong. Put together, these mechanisms make first impressions fast and stubborn, but they also create predictable levers you can influence. What do people actually notice in those opening seconds? Research and real-world observation point to several consistent signals: facial expression and eye contact. The face is the billboard of emotion. Micro-expressions, fleeting flashes of feeling, leak authenticity. Sustained, calm eye contact signals interest and honesty. Darting eyes signal discomfort or deception. Posture and body language. Open chest, relaxed shoulders, and a forward orientation say I'm present. Closed, slouched posture says I'm checked out. People unconsciously read these and attribute intentional qualities: confidence, openness. Indifference. Voice and tone. It's not just what you say, but how you say it. A steady, well-modulated voice communicates competence. Nervous speech transmits insecurity. The first words you choose, confident declarative versus tentative questions, prime the primacy effect. Grooming and clothing. The choices you make about dress encode identity and competence. In cultural contexts that value formality, a neat, appropriate outfit signals reliability. In creative fields, tasteful individuality may be more persuasive. Clothing is shorthand for group membership, status, and seriousness. Pacing and rhythm. People are sensitive to timing. How quickly you speak, the rhythm of your gestures. Mirroring a stranger's pace subtly builds rapport. But mimicry must be natural. Mechanical copying breaks trust. Micro behaviors that leak intention. Small acts, handing over a phone, offering a seat, the warmth of a smile, all hook into the halo effect and color other judgments. We don't have to be perfect in all signals, but small adjustments on the highest weight cues produce outsized differences. First impressions don't happen in a vacuum. The setting, the cultural norms, and the observer's state matter. Meeting someone in a job interview primes competence judgments. Meeting someone at a wedding primes warmth and loyalty. Cross-cultural differences also change what cues are read as positive. In some cultures, direct eye contact is confidence, in others, it's disrespectful. Also, the observer's internal state, stress, fatigue, personal history, distorts perception. A busy, distracted person forms cruder impressions. A mindful listener may take longer to judge. That's why context tailoring is essential. If you want to be judged as reliable in a professional setting, match the formality of the environment. If you want to be judged as warm at a social event, prioritize genuine smiles and small, attentive gestures. Let's look at practical scenarios where first impressions decide outcomes. Job interviews. Studies repeatedly show that early rapport and clear, calm answers strongly predict hiring decisions. The first 60 seconds set a tone. A candidate who begins with a concise, confident summary, a one-line value proposition, leverages the primacy effect. Dating. Attraction is a cocktail of visible cues and projection. The halo effect and thin slicing make certain facial expressions, scents, and body language disproportionately attractive. But beware, projection can make instantaneous chemistry unstable if not grounded in shared values. Public speaking and leadership. The first 10 seconds of a speech determine whether the audience invests attention. Leaders who open with a clear, paradoxical, or emotionally engaging statement get more attention and perceived authority. Online profiles. In the digital age, first impressions often ride through photos and a single headline. Your profile pic, headline, and the first line of your bio do the primacy work. Optimize them with the same principles. We must be careful. Using first impression science to manipulate others can be ethically fraught. The same levers that get you hired can be used to deceive. Moreover, relying too heavily on first impressions perpetuates inequality. People judged by surface cues may be systematically disadvantaged. Psychologically, constant impression management is exhausting. Authentic long-term relationships require vulnerability and the capacity to be known beyond the first glance. The goal is not to become a perfect mask, but to ensure your authentic self is conveyed clearly at first contact. Here are tactical, high-leverage practices you can use immediately. 1. Prepare a 15-second value opener. For interviews and networking, a short, energetic sentence that states who you are and what you do. To signal warmth first, competence second. Research shows warmth judgments are made faster and matter more for trust. Start with a friendly expression and a brief empathetic remark. Then layer competence cues, credentials, concise fix. 3. Mind your micro behaviors. Practice an open posture, steady eye contact, and calm voice exercises. Small adjustments to breathing and posture change the whole signal package. 4. Dress for the context intentionally. Slightly overdressing for professional settings signals care. For creative contexts, tasteful individuality signals fit. 5. Ask one strong question early. People remember how you made them feel. A meaningful question shows interest and activates reciprocity. 6. Slow down. You now rush to impress. We speak too fast. Pausing communicates thoughtfulness and reduces nervous leakage. 7. Use follow-up to undo bad first impressions. If you stumble, intentionally repair. A sincere clarifying line. A small self-deprecating joke. And a better second impression can shift the primacy lens. 8. Learn to spot your own bias. If you notice you're judging people quickly, ask, what implicit categories am I using? This meta-awareness reduces automatic stereotyping. There is a story Jung liked to tell in different forms, the idea that the self is both mask and mystery. In the theater of life we are actors, but the goal is to play authentically. First impressions are the opening line of our play. We can write that line wisely, not to manipulate, but to present the truth of our competence and warmth so the story has a chance to unfold. If you want to be judged more fairly, begin by being visible in the ways that matter. Show warmth first, then competence. Prepare your opening line. Mind the small signals. And when you meet someone who judged you too quickly, remember, people as first impressions are not destiny. Over time, consistent behavior rewrites early judgments. If this changed the way you think about meeting people, subscribe to PsycheLogos. Comment below, which first impression tip will you try at your next meeting? I'll pick a few to feature in the next video. Keep watching the invisible.